This is Bre Steele here from Vents Magazine with Tim Skipper from House of Heroes.
Yeah.
I got my bands mixed up there for a second. And we're here at the House of Blues, and they're on their tour right now promoting their new album, Cold Hard Once.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, can I just say, it's amazing.
Thank you.
I bought it last night because the Publicist, the plugin wasn't working on my computer or phone, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Very cool.
Yeah, I was definitely very impressed by this album and just where you guys are going and stuff. And so we're on tour right now they're on tour. I'm not with them. With Relient K and William Beckett. And then is Hello Goodbye on the whole tour?
Yes. Yeah.
Somehow I missed that
Oh, really?
information.
Yeah, they are. We don't know where they are right now, but they're on the tour.
Should show up here eventually.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, okay, the new album, just kind of describe, just with the new sound that, in a way, I know you guys kind of, in some ways, simplified your sound a little bit, but, even each track is different. Even each track has its own sound, the opening track it almost reminds me of a barbershop quartet with the harmonies, which I loved, and then going into more of, the hard-hitting anthem of, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the second track.
Out My Way.
Yes,
Yeah.
Which is that pretty much the single track off the album? I know it's pretty much where you got the name from.
Right, exactly. It will be eventually. We went with a different song for the first single, but
Okay, what is the first single?
Touch This Light. It's right in the middle of the
Favorite
track.
song.
Right on. There
Good
you go.
choice.
Well, thank
I
you.
approve.
Nice, good. Well, good, yeah. This album was, the past two albums we did before this one we did with one producer, and we just thought we were going to do it with this new one with him as well, and we met with a different guy and just hit it off, and we loved his studio. We loved the idea of, he said, I have a big enough studio that we can record everything live. We
Oh,
can,
wow.
basic tracks. Yeah, we
That's
were really,
awesome.
yeah, we were really attracted to that idea. So,
Yeah.
So we went with this new guy, and really, instead of focusing on an album, the last two albums before this were kind of concept albums, or at least thematic. And so this one we said, let's make every song, let's spend as much time as we need to on every song and make it its own, and make it exactly what it needs to be. And so that's kind of what we did, and then it just has that real live, raw kind of energy to it. So, yeah.
So then basically you just went in there, all your instruments, recorded everything, on the spot.
Pretty much, we did at least the basic tracks. We'd have, 2 guitar tracks, a bass and drums, and then occasionally producer would sit in, play some organ or some keys, and then we'd do vocals, and we did a song a day, and just 15 days in a row. Yeah.
Wow.
It was really cool.
That's awesome. I didn't know that you guys recorded it like that.
Yeah,
So that's really neat, because that's not usually done, especially in this day and age where it's so much of the electronic and the tracks and just, overproduced even just, and I understand there's a certain level of, adding a few filters and stuff to even, on voices to fill it out and stuff, but, it's just so much stuff is, overproduced. We're talking to William, and he was saying how he pretty much everything they did was organic. They used all live instruments and stuff stuff, and so that's just super encouraging just for the music industry, which in a way is kind of losing that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's nice to know that people are actually playing music.
Totally, yeah. Exactly, because at the end of the day, that's the human element that makes that attracted us to music in the first place.
Exactly.
I feel like. So, yeah, you can't lose that.
Yeah.
So.
And that's definitely kind of one of the themes that comes through on that track as well. Just saying that, that basically you guys are gonna, stay true to your music and your beliefs and your roots, regardless of where that may take you, in regards to the music industry or even what other people perceive of you.
Exactly, yeah. Because we've had several opportunities to, people saying, you guys are talented enough. If you just write your songs like this, dumb down the lyrics, make them, and we're like,
no.
Why would we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That we'd be doing ourselves and the people that really, really do love the music a disservice, So, just for the sake of making a few extra bucks,
Yeah.
I had talked to someone before about about the music industry and how it's really gotten bad where people just don't even play music anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually talked about how he doesn't write music for the fans, he writes music for himself. And there's been times where they'll be in their bus going on tour and they'll just listen to their own albums day after day because they're just so stoked on what they've written that they want to listen to it. He's like, we write music that we want to listen to, so you might as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which is perfect, yeah.
That's cool.
And so that was definitely, what I kind of perceive from this album is just, in a lot of ways, it's like an anthem, like, for our generation. Yeah. And for people, like, there's a lot of songs that just have, like, those really, like deep, like, cutting issues, or even just, really deep, like, from the soul. Like, there's definitely soul and depth behind the lyrics and the songs, like, and you can sense that instead of just those songs where, like, you listen to it once and you're like, okay, I know exactly what this is about. It's about this breakup, like, and, like, especially songs like Touch This Light and, is it Remember the Empire?
Remember the Empire.
Yeah, and just, like, and just kind of what I'm, I guess, getting at is, like, what would you say, because I know each song speaks for itself, like, kind of as that anthem, to be called to greater things. I know, like, your faith in God and stuff is something that definitely influences you guys and stuff, which is awesome. And I read a quote that you said in the bio, and you said that basically, like, people will say, well, why don't you, like, conform to a certain style of worship music, or, or play these songs, or, like, sing a song where, like, you're saying, like, God is holy, or, in a certain way, but you're saying that, like, you're basically doing this, like, for God, the creator of the universe. Like, he's ultimately, like, the ultimate expression of creativity, so, like, why not be creative and present it in that new way? And so, kind of in that, like, what would you say are, like, some of the prevalent themes that you have, like, for this album, and just kind of what you're trying to communicate, just, like, through that and through your music, and just kind of because music speaks, music is universal language, and just kind of, like, what you guys want to speak, and, like, what, I guess, like, areas of people's lives that you want to impact, like, through this album. I know that was a lot, but...
I think I follow what you're saying.
Okay.
I think for us, the whole record just kind of came from a very desperate place in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. First of all, we're getting older, and we can't keep doing. We just can't afford to keep doing the band at this level. Mm-hmm. With families and stuff like that now. But it's something we still love to do. It's something we still feel like we should be doing. And so there's a desperation in the music of, have we given it 100%? Have we really ever given it 100%? Because if we haven't, we need to. Like, now or never,
Yeah.
And so there's that side of it. And then there's the other side of it where I feel like I lived the last decade of my life very, I guess, apathetically a little bit, and just kind of going through the motions, which I think is very easy for Americans to do.
Definitely, yeah.
And especially Americans who have, Christian faith or faith in general. It's very easy to be comfortable. And so, what's that?
I know one of the songs talks about that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. And so, I feel like, okay, if I believe in this thing, and it has impacted my life, and it has spoken to my innermost being, my soul, so much, and I believe that till I die, like, to the point of death, then my only response out of that is worship. And I'm not saying worship music, because I have massive issues with Christianity and worship music and things like that. At least American Christianity, the way it's presented, this whole prosperity gospel and stuff like that, I don't buy it. It just doesn't line up with what the Bible says from what I perceive. And so, but anyway, that's another thing where it's like, if I believe this from a truly desperate place, like, I need to love people a lot more than what I have. I need to, and so I think that's kind of songs like "I'm a Symbol," like, in a lyric. One of my
favorites.
Like,
yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. A lyric like, "The first man threw is an easy kill, but no one's safe if we all stand still." A lot of times that's what we see. We see a lot of people standing still complaining about something instead of somebody actually.
So right. True. It's so true. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of one of that lyric sums up a lot of the themes on the record. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so then, and I know also with this album that you guys wrote it more like collectively as a band this time. Mm-hmm. And so can you just kind of like describe that process and how it was, you know, different from the previous albums and like, I guess the pros and cons of it and
Sure.
like that you saw from that?
Yeah, definitely. That was, the last couple albums were kind of, we would all start writing stuff together and then it would be like, well, okay, well, who's really into this? Us, you and me, we're doing this.
Yeah.
You know, so, and this album, we kind of just rallied the troops and said, everybody's on board, we're making this thing together. And so every day it's like, you know, a new idea. We ended up writing almost 40 songs for the album.
Oh, wow.
Just because we, you know, it was just,
cranked it out.
Yeah, it was just flowing.
Awesome.
Are you going to save some of those for future albums,
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah, I think so.
I don't know about a 40.
I know, that's an awful lot. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of, we actually didn't get together a whole lot, but it was more like, hey, I got this part, I'm going to email it to you guys, and so email, you know, technology is great.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, definitely.
Email it to the guys, and they'd be like, I have a part that'll go with that, let's get together tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was like we were inspiring each other, and then we all come from different stylistic backgrounds, so it all just kind of starts sounding like, you know, this, what is it? The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Is that right?
I think,
So,
yeah.
What we can make together is
Exactly.
better than what we can make
Yeah,
together. So.
exactly.
Which kind of goes along with the thing where you're trying to make each song kind of like its own song, which is kind of cool because then each of you get to put your own part into each song separately.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Versus just the whole entire
And each have your own voice expressed in a way, even though like, you know, collectively as a whole it is like the band and you guys coming together unified, but it's still like you don't get to that point where one person is like, well, I never like had a say in this. I was just kind of riding on the coattails of others.
Right, exactly.
So.
Yeah, you all assume the leadership of the whole thing. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And so, because I mean, problems I could perceive like in that, you know, it's just like that whole like, because creative people, musicians at times can tend to be like kind of like stubborn or, you know, like it can be hard to take criticism. Like I'm a musician myself and I know sometimes like it's something that's very humbling to be able to accept, like if someone's like, well, let's try it this way, because to you like that idea, you're like, no, this is the best thing ever, this is the way it has to be, but
I had a vision for
this is how and so in a way, I think that, you know, you guys doing that is just showing that, you know, almost like, you know, it talks about in the Bible too about the body and, you know, and how all the parts come together. Because if you have just a hand, like, it's not going to work. You need, you know, the whole body together and how everyone is different. But did you guys kind of run into anything like that of if people, you know, someone was like, well, I want it this way or I think this way, you know, because there's got to be some conflicting issues, like...
Totally. And
stuff.
Like, yeah, for me, I feel like I'm the one that's probably the most guilty of that. I'm going, no,
okay.
it has to go this way. You know?
It's your baby.
Yeah,
like.
right? Yeah. And then, but the next thing is it's you just go, well, let's just try it both ways and see.
That's good, yeah.
And then a lot of times we come back a day later and I'm, your way's better.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But, yeah, with the benefit of hindsight, you know, you can always kind of tell. But yeah, it's funny too, because sometimes if you really believe strongly in something, you just stick up for it until, but then other times it's like, okay, I'm going to hold on to this very loosely.
Yeah.
Because maybe, you know, I'm not married to it, so this other idea might be better, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So then, what is kind of like the response that you guys have seen from the album so far? Like, I know on iTunes, when I checked it, had 5 stars. Everyone I was reading through, was saying, like, it was awesome, you know, like, because it is a little bit different than your previous albums. And sometimes, you know, fans, even though you're not writing music for the fans, I mean, it's still kind of hard to ignore, like, the feedback that you get. And, like, sometimes, you know, fans can freak out if you go in a new direction because they fall so in love with, like, this old sound or they tend to expect that. So.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And I think, to me, the response has been overwhelming. I was really expecting a lot more of that. Like, oh, no, what are you doing? Why didn't you, Why don't you recreate the past 2 records again? You know? But I think, so, yeah, it's really been cool to see such a positive response so far. And I like, because we really wanted to take this album in a way different direction than it ended up.
Oh, really?
But yeah.
Do you care to discuss that at all?
Well, we just wanted to make it more poppy.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then once we got in there and started playing live, it was just like, let's turn those guitars up a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, well, you just can't help it if you're playing live. Yeah. You just want it to be more powerful.
Yeah, I totally understand.
So I like what Bruce Springsteen talks a lot about. He says it's important to maintain a conversation with your audience.
That's cool.
And so he said it's okay to lead them into new places. You just have to make sure you don't lose them in the conversation. So
yeah.
Which is a really cool way of thinking about being a musician, because you get to do what you want to do, but you also maintain, like, what's most important is the interaction that you have between, because really, what's the point of writing music if you can't share it?
If it's not impacting anyone.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes I get that. You just need to get what's inside of you out. But I think the most important part about it, and the thing I'm thankful for other musicians, is that they did that in order so that I could relate with it,
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. Which is like when you're writing like from that view of, things that you've gone through.
The thing I'm thankful for other musicians is that they did that in order so that I could relate with it,
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. Which is like when you're writing like from that view of, things that you've gone through, and like being real and not just putting on this facade, like, oh, this is the way it is, or I have everything together. Like, I think that definitely speaks to people a lot more, like, who might be in that place. And I mean, you're talking about that desperation, and I definitely like pick that up in the album, listening to it, reading the lyrics and stuff. And
cool.
like, and it's actually, in a way, even though like if you're not expecting it, might take you a little bit off guard, like, oh, someone's actually going there, like they're gonna, like actually be real about that. But at the same time, it's so refreshing, because I know, like, I've been in places like that, where, especially even in the Christian faith, where, you want to put on the mask, everything's fine, I've got it all together, like, but that's like not what it's about at all. Like, it's about like being in that place of brokenness, and being able to like, the rain falls on the righteous and the damned, like you said, and stuff. Right. And so I just like want to applaud you guys and just encourage you, just keep like staying, true like that, and just to write things that are, truly like from your heart and like what you've gone through, instead of just, what people might want to hear, or just, in that regards, like saying like, oh yeah, we're awesome, we got everything, like,
Well, thank
and
you.
stuff. And oh my gosh, what was I going to say? So in regards to, in kind of the music industry, and how there is kind of like, there's like the Christian music industry and then the secular, and just kind of, you guys are kind of like in between the two. So kind of what are the struggles with that? Because I know, like, even believing in something that is controversial, like in the music industry, like some people either don't want to admit that fact and like hide it, or, but you may not want to go kind of like switch foot, they didn't go, like, they're obviously, like men of faith, and, their songs are about that, but they didn't want to like fall into that line of just like the Christian music sector, be labeled that, so they could reach more people. And so kind of like, what are your guys' thoughts, like, as a band, and then just even like the struggles that come with that, even like from other bands, or even just people, or even, just everything,
Yeah. It's a weird place. I mean, we are literally right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah.
So on this side, there's the people who are going, well, you're not Christian enough. You don't do these things. You don't play these events. And then on this side, there's people who go, oh, they're a Christian band? I'm not going to go see them,
Yeah.
And so it's weird being right smack in the middle, but we've always felt like that's where we need to be.
Yeah.
And so, there's even some bands that we would love to tour with that are, kind of affiliated with the Christian industry a little bit, but not immersed in it, who go, man, we'd love to take you on tour, we love your band, but you're kind of a little too far on the Christian side for us. And we're like, but you're Christians,
Yeah, what?
I don't get it.
That's so weird.
It stinks because, I mean, like, when you profess to be a Christian, you're lumped in with a whole mess of things. You're lumped in with people from Westboro Baptist Church.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And people don't know. That's what some
That's
people who...
And all that religion instead of...
Right, exactly.
Instead of more...
Yeah, when in fact they're missing the point completely. And
Yeah.
So, Yeah, it's a struggle, but hopefully at some point the music speaks for itself. You know? So that's what we hope.
Yeah. At least I think it does.
Well, thanks.
In my opinion, but.
Well, if people are actually listening, then I think they would understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. It's just.
I mean, it's one of those things where you can just kind of be like, oh, they're a Christian band, then fine, I won't listen to that. Anybody that actually takes the time to listen to it will understand.
Right. Totally.
Even, like Switchfoot, for example, which I know Switch is just one of those. I mean, we're in San Diego, they're from here.
Right, yeah.
We're from here. We gotta rep them, but not that you guys are exactly like them, because you're definitely different music style, song. Sure. I mean, but
we look up to them.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're influenced by Switchfoot too. A lot of people are. I mean, they're just amazing guys, musicians all around. Just definitely. And I mean, I know people that listen to them that aren't Christian at all, but they're still and to me, it's encouraging to have the bands that aren't afraid to do that, to be in that scene where it's not even always quite so in your face, but they're still, because there's people there that need to be reached, that need to hear that hope, that need to hear that message, because that's what it's about, not just about getting in your little religious huddle, because that's not even what Jesus did if you really get into it and stuff. And so I think it's kind of good in a way for you guys that you are in the middle, because you really can kind of swing both ways in some ways. Of course there's always going to be barriers stopping that from pretenses that people have, but it's still, at least for me, I think it is a good place for you guys, because you really can do that, because I know you guys have played with Toby Mac and Skillet and stuff, and different Christian festivals and stuff, and then also going playing other shows with people that aren't and stuff, and
totally, yeah.
So I think that's encouraging too for people that may be facing that dilemma, as musicians themselves and stuff, and kind of where to go with that and stuff, instead of getting, because there's even people that will be in the Christian music industry basically just using that, proclaiming that as a way just to make it to the top and stuff. Sadly as it is, there is, there's, in some ways there can be just as much corruption in that scene as there can be in the secular music scene, just because it can be so easy to get caught up in the comforts, the comfort trap, and so
that's what I live in Nashville now, and so there's a lot of Christian artists that live there, and songwriters and stuff like that, and they use certain words specifically in songs. Well, we can't use that because the soccer moms won't buy as many copies. And well,
really?
But that's.
Is it about the money?
Yeah, and really, for a lot of people, unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. It's interesting.
Yeah. So how do you guys kind of stay grounded then, as a band, or personally, in that?
I think one of the biggest things for us is we've been a band for so long, and we've fallen on our faces so many times in the course of our career. And, so in that regard, it keeps us grounded. But additionally, our families we all come from very strong, very good families that keep us in line.
That's good.
So yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. It's funny. I was talking with our drummer. He's got a wife and 3 kids, and we were talking on our way out just about. I was like, I got called out last night by my fiance. She said, you're speaking very arrogantly right now. I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, yeah. He's like, it's hard, man. When you we just put out a record, and every review on iTunes is positive.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and so you're like, we are the greatest thing since the Beatles, but then he was like, I do that all the time. My wife just says, you're not that great. You're just a guy that plays music. There's a million of you. Yeah. And I forgot.
Yeah.
So. I think having a family and people around you that love you enough to tell you the truth.
Even if it hurts? Yeah.
Even if it hurts,
That's good.
Yeah.
As musicians themselves and stuff, and kind of where to go with that and stuff, instead of getting, because there's even people that will be in the Christian music industry basically just using that, proclaiming that as a way just to make it to the top and stuff. Sadly as it is, there is, there's, in some ways there can be just as much corruption in that scene as there can be in the secular music scene, just because it can be so easy to get caught up in the comforts, the comfort trap, and so
that's what I live in Nashville now, and so there's a lot of Christian artists that live there, and songwriters and stuff like that, and they use certain words specifically in songs. Well, we can't use that because the soccer moms won't buy as many copies. And well,
really?
But that's...
Is it about the money?
Yeah. And really, for a lot of people, unfortunately, it is, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. It's interesting.
Yeah. So how do you guys kind of stay grounded then, like as a band or like personally, like in that?
I think one of the biggest things for us is we've been a band for so long and we've fallen on our faces so many times in the course of our career. And, so in that regard, it keeps us grounded. But additionally, you know, our families we all come from very strong, very good families that keep us in line.
That's good.
So yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. It's funny. I was talking with our drummer. He's got a wife and 3 kids, and we were talking on our way out just about. You know, I was like, yeah, I got called out last night by my fiance. You know, she said, you're speaking very arrogantly right now. I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, yeah. He's like, it's hard, man. When you know, we just put out a record, and like you said, every review on iTunes is positive.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and so you're like, we are the greatest thing since the Beatles, you know. But then he was like, yeah, I do that all the time. My wife just says, you're not that great. You're just a guy that plays music. There's a million of you. Yeah. And oh yeah, I forgot. You know.
Yeah.
So. I think having a family and people around you that love you enough to tell you the truth.
Even if it hurts? Yeah.
If it hurts, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's right.
So then back to the album, kind of where are you guys kind of wanting to go with that? Like, are you guys going to keep touring? Are you going to, you know, are you planning on a new album? Like, I know it's kind of hard because you're getting to that place, like, in your career where you're kind of in that, like, transition, you know, like, with families and as, you know, like, I mean, I was interviewing Under Oath, and, you know, they've definitely changed a lot, because a lot of them, you know, they're getting up in their, like, 30s now, and so it's, like, just a different scene in a way, because there's the new people coming in. But just kind of do you guys have any, like, tentative plans of, you know, music videos or new albums, more tours?
We're going to tour this record as much as we can, just because we believe in it so much.
Yeah.
And so this fall, we've got 2 tours lined up, very short ones, and then I'm getting married in November. So we're kind of
exciting!
It's very exciting. Yeah. Taking a little bit of time off, and then in the new year we'll keep touring a little bit, and hopefully this was our last record with Goatee Records, and so we're free to do what we want after this, but we have to wait at least a year to put anything else out. So we've already started writing for another album, and we definitely want to put at least one more out, but. You know, it's one of those things where about every 6 months we reevaluate everything, because families are you know, in the mix now, and those take precedence over everything, and so okay, this is our plan for the next 6 months. Everybody on board? Yeah. And well, we need to modify it a little bit. So that's kind of the plan moving forward. Is you know, we're careful not to plan anything too far out. But in the back of our minds, we want this to keep going for another 10 years.
Yeah. It's understandable, especially if it's something that you love so much.
Totally,
and so, you know, it's always going to be a part of you, like, in a way, like, because it's on your hearts.
Totally, yeah.
And so, how has the tour been? I know the tour just started, like, this is the 4th night and stuff, but how's it been going so far?
It's been really amazing. Really? Yeah, we've toured with Reliant K. This is our 3rd time now, touring with those guys, and that's awesome. Every time it's a blast.
Yeah.
And so it's just a pleasure being out with them and being able to play for people, because even when we come out on our own to the West Coast, we're lucky if we can get 100 people to a show.
Oh, wow,
So being able to play in front of a lot of people is really, it's a blessing and a half. So it's been really fun. Everybody's really nice. William's really cool. Goodbye are really cool. So yeah, it's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the weather's great. Right. So
so everyone looks forward to.
I know, yeah.
Because you guys are just staying West Coast right now.
Right.
For this tour.
For this tour.
Yeah. But in the fall, you're going to be going to, like, the East Coast, Midwest? Okay.
Kind of Midwest, just middle states, and then in October we'll go to the East Coast.
Okay. So all you fans over there, they're going to come. Don't worry.
We'll be there. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
They're coming. You haven't missed out completely.
That's
And yeah, because the record that just released this month, like 10 days ago?
It's been less than, it's been just over 2 weeks.
Just over 2 weeks, okay.
So
that's awesome. And that's available on iTunes, like Amazon. Do a quick little promotional shout out right now.
iTunes, Amazon MP3. It's in a lot of Best Buy stores. Which is pretty cool.
That is, that's awesome.
Best Buy doesn't put music in there.
Yeah.
Exactly, so, and come to a show. That's the best place to get a CD, so.
Yeah. And then they could also keep up with you guys on Twitter, Facebook.
thehouseofheroes.com, Tumblr, we got so. Yeah.
Instagram?
Exactly.
I've got Instagram?
Instagram.
I'm addicted to Instagram.
Yeah, we do,
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
And so, sounds like you guys have a lot, starting for you, which is super exciting, just, like with this album just really taking off and stuff. And so
I hope it keeps going.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see like what the future holds for you guys and stuff, and like where you're gonna go with it. And I know I'm excited to see you guys live because I've heard you're amazing live. That's what William was saying and stuff. So
do our best.
It's gonna be awesome. So if you're able to make it to a show, you should definitely get out there. It'll be worth it. Worth your time, worth your money, everything.
That's right.
And it's not just, it's good for your souls too. It's good music.
Right on. Yeah.
Okay, well thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Pleasure. Sure.